So we are at the Asus stand here, and I'm joined by Dennis. And now, one question before we even get into any enthusiast tech at all. I've been a long-time fan of Asus. However, Dennis here says it's pronounced many different ways with an official ruling on the name as from 4 years ago, yeah?
Yes. So say it with me together. Asus.
Asus.
Yeah. So it's something we're constantly trying to educate about. Now, I come from IT way back in the day when I bought boards. So in the very beginning, I said Asus. And then I came to this industry when it was Asus. But as you mentioned, for the last 4 years, 4+ years, it's been Asus.
Asus. I don't know. That's going to take some time for me to work in. Asus, Asus, Asus.
Asus.
Asus. Asus. I'm going to try and remember that. So we're going to move on now to some enthusiast tech knowledge and questions here. The biggest one on my mind was the Asus Strix, really the brand on the GPU coolers there. Really, I mean, I bought a GTX 1060 while I was here and a GTX 1070. Really good focus on those Strix coolers with that fat base. Was that thing coming back from the DC2 series?
So the Strix cooling does come in DirectCU 3 as well as DirectCU 2. It's got the the patented wing blade fans on it, but it's actually been a really exciting generation for us because we've got a lot of stuff that enhance what I call gamer ROI, so return on investment from the gamer's point of view, right? So adding things like customizable Aura RGB lighting that can be synced with Motherboard now. So for us, like we've been doing gaming a long time, right? So we feel that we have a pretty good understanding. So it's not lighting for the sake of lighting, right? It's like a very sophisticated look, choosing the right shade of color that you want to match your perfect build, right? Beyond that, we've got the first graphics cards with actual 4-pin PWM fan headers on the card itself. So when you're really overclocking, when you need that extra cooling, you can plug fans directly into the graphics card and map those directly to GPU temperature.
See, that's what we like to hear. The PWM fans, beautiful design there coming from Asus. Asus.
Asus. Rewind it back. Asus.
So we'll get that. I'll try Asus. I'm going to try and get that right from here on in. So yeah, I've definitely been impressed with the cooling solutions on those GPUs. The RGB lighting, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of that, myself included though. The OCD market out there, people who want that new lighting on their graphics cards, Asus is taking care of that with the RGB lighting, as you said.
Yeah, so again, it's all about customization and personalization, right? So not just having, okay, you have one pattern, one color, and that's all you get, right? So the people that want lighting, they can turn it on, they can tune it to exactly what they want, and if you don't like it, you can shut it off, right?
And definitely this is going not just through the GPU coolers, the motherboards as well on all the X99 lines, the Z170 lines. So is there anything else that's going to set Asus aside from the other brands out there and really or anything in the works that's going to that maybe the customization in the software or whatnot?
So within the Aura RGB space, you're definitely going to see that ecosystem expand from our side. Engineers are basically working on tirelessly on getting all of that synchronized. And a lot of that is with the mindset of like, okay, so if you want the Aura RGB, you don't want a ton of applications open to control each individual one, right? So you're definitely going to see that space expand as well. And we were also the first ones to actually put that 50/50 header right on the motherboard. So you can easily add LED light strip and have that sync up with everything else in your rig.
Definitely one thing with the motherboards as well, I've noticed the auto-overclocking features. Very great. If you're a complete noob with overclocking, Asus will take care of you in that you just hit the auto button and you're pretty much good to go, right?
Yeah, and that was really something that came about with all silicon really not being created equal, right? Like you remember back in the day, you used to be able to find an overclocking guide, match all the settings, and you would be able to hit 4 gigahertz, 4.2 gigahertz, right?
It was pretty general in terms of that, but you also needed to have a lot more knowledge back in those days as well, like especially with overclocking as well. But nowadays, I guess Asus have the market covered if you're a complete noob, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's where we've invested a lot in 5-way optimization, and in particular what you're talking about is auto-tuning, right? Because at the end of the day, like, okay, so there's the speeds and feeds of gigahertz, but we found that most consumers are just looking to get the performance that they paid for, right? So with auto-tuning, you can basically extract 95% of the CPU's potential performance just with one click, essentially, and that's what people are looking for, right? They just want to know, okay, I bought a K-series processor, I know I should be overclocking, I just want to click a button and have it happen, right? And so that process, that could take up to like 2 days before to get to that 95% level. And then if you want to, you can start playing more with ratio, vCore, and like even BCLK if you want. but a lot of people are happy with that 95% mark, right?
Exactly right, and that's what matters to the masses if you don't know anything about overclocking as well. But another thing I've noticed here is the RoG series of the laptops coming out with that big GTX 10 series push there. The desktop graphics cards coming into the laptops. Asus are definitely taking care of, Asus are definitely taking care of that market, right?
So we've got two things here. So RoG. We made an acronym, so it's actually not RoG, it's RoG. But yeah, we've got all the Pascal refresh laptops here. Really excited about that. We've got the G752s with the GTX 1070. This is actually the first North American exposure for the G800, so that will be compatible with the external water cooling dock, and that's running a desktop GTX 1080. Now that is your definite desktop replacement. But like over in the esports area, for example, we've got GL502s running, so that's the more ultra portable gaming laptop that still has, you know, all the performance that you want.
Yeah, so definitely the cooling on there as well. You got that Strix design, the shallow fans as well coming into the laptops as well.
Specifically the ducted cooling, so what goes out the back, the exhaust, right? Because you don't want the heat going into, well, nobody uses a laptop on their lap anymore, but you know, just so it's not cooking your desk, so you don't need to have a bulky cooler underneath it.
Definitely all those laptops as well as the desktops here. We've got the VR on display here and all those new series graphics cards supporting VR. So definitely Asus have a mini or micro ATX size and also a full-size or mid-size ATX case coming out, pre-mades as well. Guess you guys are really covering the market, everything enthusiasts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we've really seen is the whole VR trend is causing a renaissance in PC gaming, right? So people are becoming more interested in it again. And so we're kind of here to remind them, like, hey, if you build your own PC, there's a lot of things you can do with that PC. You haven't just built a console, right? And so that's super exciting for us, right?
No consoles, no consoles.
Yeah. But, you know, on the pre-built side, we do have, like, the G20, right, which is that small form factor. We've got the standard mid-tower G11, and then we've also got, you know, the SLI GTX 1080, GT51, the beast. Yeah.
And also, last question we got here is the 4K scene as well. Does Asus have any plans to really push anything other than, I mean, I heard rumors about a 4K 144 hertz monitor in the works. Is that, obviously you guys want to get that out in just IPS, TN or whatnot? I'm not really sure about that. Is that got an expected release date or anything like that?
No information just yet. It does kind of depend on the panel tech, but to be honest, like where we made investments, like in the RoG Curve, the PG348Q, is having ultra-wide quad HD, right, 3440 by 1440, and the reason that's important, right, is you don't run into that 60 hertz issue, right? So that panel, that monitor can do 100 hertz, and so that's really been the main limiting factor, DisplayPort 1.2 and being capped at 60 hertz at 4K. So once we start moving to like DP 1.3, then things are going to be very, very interesting then.
Yeah. So that's definitely things to look forward to from Asus there. I got to say that right. I'm going to change my vocabulary to match the official pronunciation now. And I'd like to thank Dennis very much for coming on this interview. And if you guys have any questions or comments for either of us about this interview, then be sure to drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon. Any final words before we get out of here?
No, thanks for making the trip and visiting us in the Asus RoG booth.
The Asus RoG booth. Catch you guys in the next tech video. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.